Nathaniel Davis walked confidently toward the entrance of the Regency Grand Hotel, his mind already shifting into relaxation mode after a busy week of meetings and negotiations. He was ready to unwind in a place that promised luxury and service that matched his status, a five-star experience that would remind him why he worked so hard to get here. As he approached the grand marble steps, the cool air felt refreshing against his tailored suit. His polished shoes clicked on the stone beneath him, with every step echoing off the walls of the towering structure. It was a statement of success, a reflection of what he had achieved despite the odds stacked against him when he had grown up in a neighborhood where few ever made it out. He reached the door and it swung open. Automatically, he stepped inside the lobby and was immediately struck by its opulence. The golden chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting a warm light over the plush furniture. The rich tones of velvet and leather filled the space with a sense of quiet prestige. Nathaniel could almost taste the wealth in the air. He took a deep breath as he surveyed the room, moving toward the front desk where the receptionist was already eyeing him with a strained smile. As he approached the desk, the young woman greeted him, her voice polite but stiff. She asked for his name, and he gave it with a calm smile. Nathaniel Davis. He was used to the reaction when people heard his name, but he didn't let it faze him anymore. He had earned his place in the world. He had worked tirelessly to build a business empire from the ground up, one that rivaled many of the world's biggest corporations. And yet here, he was at this hotel the same way he had always been, just a man looking for a little peace and quiet. The receptionist tapped at her keyboard, her smile slowly fading as her fingers hesitated over the keys. She looked up at him with a forced politeness and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, but it appears we are fully booked tonight. We don't have any available rooms. In fact, you may want to try some of the other hotels nearby. They may have availability." He was taken aback for a moment. He had expected this to be a simple check-in, but her words hung in the air like a heavy silence. Nathaniel frowned, but he kept his voice steady. He raised an eyebrow and asked, "Are you sure there are no rooms available?" He had stayed at many high-end hotels before and had never been told such a thing, especially with a reservation on the books, but she repeated her answer with the same mechanical politeness and offered no further explanation. He stood there for a moment, his mind working fast, trying to understand what was happening. Was there something he was missing? Or was this a simple case of coincidence? A mistake, perhaps, but something didn't sit right with him. He took a slow step back from the counter and nodded his head toward the door as if to accept the situation, but deep down something was stirring inside him. It was more than just confusion or disappointment. It was a sense of being dismissed, a quiet and subtle rejection that he hadn't experienced in years, and it stung deeper than he expected. As Nathaniel turned and walked toward the door, he couldn't help but feel the weight of it. All the years of grinding, fighting to be seen, to be respected, and yet here he was being turned away from a place he thought would welcome him. It was a small moment, but it felt huge as he stepped out into the night air. A deep resolve settled over him. This wouldn't be the end. He would not let this go unnoticed. He wasn't just going to leave, he was going to return, and when he did, he would do it on his terms. Nathaniel stepped onto the sidewalk, his mind buzzing with a mix of frustration and something else, something deeper. His hand tightened around the door handle as he left the Regency Grand behind, the cold air hitting his face. But as he walked away, his steps grew more deliberate. That feeling of injustice was settling in, not as anger, but as a quiet fury that burned in his chest. He had been rejected, not because of his business record, not because of his achievements, but because of something else, something out of his control, something that he had long since learned to rise above. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. The rejection wasn't just a personal slight. It was a reflection of an entire system, a belief that some people belonged and others didn't. He had fought for every inch of his success, fought to prove that he could make it just as far as anyone else, if not farther. And yet here he was, being turned away at the door of a hotel because of the color of his skin. His heart raced, not with anger, but with determination. This wasn't the end of his story. This was just another chapter. He pulled out his phone, tapping out a message to his closest circle. "I'm going to buy it." He didn't explain further. They didn't need an explanation. His friends knew him well enough to understand that this wasn't some idle boast. Nathaniel was always one for action. He didn't just talk about his ambitions, he made them happen. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized that buying the Regency Grand was the perfect way to show the world what he was truly capable of. Not only would it be a personal victory, but it would also send a message. A message that no one could ever look at him and think he was just another man who had to play by their rules. Nathaniel's pace quickened as he moved through the city streets, the hum of activity around him fading into the background. His mind raced, mapping out the steps he would need to take. He knew the hotel wasn't just any property, it was a symbol, a crown jewel of the city. The owners were wealthy, influential people who had long been entrenched in the city's elite. But none of that mattered to Nathaniel. He had built his wealth the hard way, piece by piece from the ground up. He was used to fighting for what he wanted, and this time would be no different. He pulled into his office building and was met by his trusted team of advisors. His thoughts were clear, his resolve firm. They could tell something was different about him today. He laid out the plan, not in abstract ideas, but in tangible goals. He didn't need to waste time on explanations. They knew what Nathaniel was capable of. They began discussing strategies, how to gather the necessary funds, how to navigate the legalities, how to make the deal happen. It wasn't going to be easy, but Nathaniel thrived in the face of challenges. He thrived when others told him it couldn't be done. One of his financial advisors raised an eyebrow, concerned about the scope of the purchase. "It's a huge investment, Nathaniel. Are you sure we can pull this off?" Nathaniel leaned forward, his voice calm but full of quiet authority. "I'm not asking if we can. I'm asking how we will." His team nodded in agreement, each person aware of the stakes, but equally certain that Nathaniel had a way to turn this audacious plan into reality. He wasn't just going to buy a hotel. He was going to change everything about how people viewed success and power. And with every passing moment, he became more convinced that this wasn't just about the Regency Grand **. This was about proving a point that would echo far beyond the hotel's walls. The days following Nathaniel's decision were a whirlwind of activity. His team worked tirelessly, gathering information, analyzing the hotel's financials, and reaching out to the right contacts. Nathaniel wasn't just relying on his business empire's strength. He knew that securing the Regency Grand would require precision, strategy, and the ability to navigate the complexities of a high-stakes purchase. But for him, this was nothing new. He had faced much harder challenges in his career, challenges that seemed insurmountable at the time, but each time he had come out on top. This would be no different. Nathaniel sat at his sleek mahogany desk late one evening, his fingers tapping thoughtfully against the surface as he reviewed documents on his tablet. His mind was racing, but he was calm, focused. He had a clear vision of what needed to be done, and there was no room for hesitation. His trusted legal team had already begun drafting the necessary paperwork to secure the property, and his financial advisors were working to secure the necessary capital, even though the deal was far more expensive than most deals Nathaniel had made in the past. This wasn't a simple business acquisition, it was personal. He leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowed in thought. The acquisition was only one part of the plan. Nathaniel wasn't just looking to buy a hotel. He was looking to reshape the very idea of what it meant to belong in spaces of wealth and power. The Regency Grand wasn't just a luxury hotel. It was an emblem of exclusivity, of old money, and of a society that often didn't care to include people like him. Nathaniel wasn't just going to own it. He was going to turn it into something that represented change, equality, and progress. The team's strategy was coming together, but Nathaniel's vision for the hotel was what kept him energized. He had already drafted ideas for how the hotel could evolve. No more would it cater solely to the ultra-elite. He saw the potential for a more inclusive atmosphere, one where people of all backgrounds, races, and walks of life could experience true luxury, where hospitality wasn't determined by who you knew or where you came from, but by how you were treated as a person. The plan wasn't just about giving a new face to the hotel. It was about creating a legacy. Nathaniel wasn't about to let the same forces that had shut him out from a place of luxury hold anyone else back. He would use this acquisition as a springboard to break down barriers, to open doors that had been closed to others like him, to make sure that no one ever had to feel the sting of rejection for something beyond their control. As the days wore on, the acquisition grew closer to completion. The legal side was moving forward quickly, but Nathaniel knew that the real work would begin once he took ownership. He needed to change the culture of the hotel, starting with the staff. He couldn't afford to simply keep things running as they were. The staff had to embody his new vision for the hotel, one of inclusivity, excellence, and genuine hospitality. And for that, he would need to make it clear from day one that things would be different. He sat down with his team again, his vision now clear and tangible. This is bigger than just the deal. It's bigger than just us. It's about showing the world that we can do things differently, he said, his voice firm but full of purpose. When I walk into that hotel, I want it to represent something new, a place where everyone can belong. We're not just buying a property, we're changing the game. The team exchanged looks, inspired by Nathaniel's unwavering conviction. They knew he was right. This wasn't just business. This was a statement, and they were ready to help him make it happen. The day of the acquisition arrived, and Nathaniel felt a surge of anticipation like never before. The deal had been sealed. Asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk was now his. News of the transaction spread quickly, taking over social media feeds and headlines across the city. The whispers of his bold move reached the ears of the city's elites, many of whom had long held sway over places like asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk. But now the hotel, a symbol of exclusivity, had a new owner, a black billionaire who had been turned away not long ago because of his race. It was a headline no one had expected, least of all the wealthy owners who had just sold it. They hadn't seen him coming, and now they were left to reckon with the reality that their hotel was under new ownership, and that ownership was a game changer. Nathaniel knew that this moment was only the beginning. As he watched the news unfold on his phone, he felt a mix of pride and determination. The city's wealthy elite were not his concern. His focus was on what came next, the transformation of the hotel, the creation of a space that defied the boundaries of privilege and prejudice. This was more than just an acquisition. It was an opportunity to change the way people thought about success, about power, and about who belonged in these exclusive spaces. Nathaniel wasn't just a businessman. He was a disruptor, and he was about to make his mark. The morning after the purchase, Nathaniel walked back into asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk, this time with a different air about him. The marble floors gleamed under the light of the chandeliers, and the sound of the front doors opening seemed to echo through the lobby. He moved toward the front desk where the receptionist stood, her eyes wide in recognition. But today, there was no smile, no pleasantries, just a stiff acknowledgement as she realized that the man who had been turned away just a day ago was now standing before her, not as a guest, but as the owner of the hotel. Edward Williams, the manager, was nowhere to be found. Nathaniel knew he had to address the staff soon, but for now he moved forward with purpose. The tension in the lobby was palpable as Nathaniel made his way through the hotel, his presence commanding attention. Guests and staff alike couldn't help but watch as he passed, many likely wondering how someone like him, someone they had dismissed, had managed to pull off something so monumental. Nathaniel made his way to the hotel's office, where the management team awaited him. As he entered, the room grew silent. He didn't need to say much to make it clear that this wasn't going to be business as usual. His eyes scanned the faces in the room, noting the expressions of surprise, uncertainty, and even fear. He wasn't there to intimidate, he was there to lead. "Good morning, everyone," Nathaniel said, his voice calm but strong. "I want to make one thing clear. Asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk will not be the same hotel it was yesterday. We're not just about luxury. We're about creating a space for everyone. Everyone deserves a place here. No one should ever be turned away, not because of who they are, not because of where they come from." He let his words sink in before continuing. From now on, this hotel will reflect those values: inclusivity, respect, excellence, and I expect every single one of you to help make that a reality. The staff exchanged uneasy glances, but Nathaniel's resolve was unshakable. This wasn't just a change in ownership, it was a cultural shift. He was ready to take on the challenge of reshaping the hotel's culture, and he wouldn't settle for anything less than full commitment from the staff. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be resistance, pushback, and obstacles, but Nathaniel had never backed down from a challenge before. This was his time to rewrite the rules, and he was determined to make the world see that success wasn't reserved for a select few. It was for anyone willing to fight for it. And Nathaniel Davis was fighting for more than just a hotel. He was fighting for a new kind of legacy. The following day, Nathaniel returned to the Regency Grand not just as a visitor, but as the man in charge. The lobby with its marble floors and grand chandeliers looked just as it had when he first set foot inside. Yet to him, it felt entirely different. It wasn't just a hotel anymore. It was his vision taking shape. The same malls that had once turned him away were now his to transform, and he intended to make that transformation known immediately. As he walked through the lobby, the staff seemed to hold their breath. Edward Williams, the hotel manager who had been there the day Nathaniel was rejected, stood frozen behind the front desk. His face was pale, his eyes wide, as he watched Nathaniel approach. He knew who Nathaniel was, but now the man who had once been just another guest was standing before him as the owner, a position Edward had never expected. Nathaniel's eyes met his, and the unspoken tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Nathaniel didn't linger on the manager, though. His gaze swept over the rest of the staff, who were quietly observing his every move. The staff had already been informed that Nathaniel was now the owner, but seeing it in person, in the flesh, was something different. The news had spread quickly, and the reaction was mixed. Some were curious, others uncertain, and a few were outright uncomfortable. Nathaniel could feel the skepticism, but he remained unfazed. He wasn't here to prove anything to them. He was here to lead. "Good morning, everyone," Nathaniel said, his voice calm but carrying authority. His words cut through the tense silence. "I'm Nathaniel Davis, and I'm proud to be your new owner." He let the words sink in, knowing the significance of what he was saying. He wasn't just claiming ownership of a building. He was taking control of the culture, the reputation, and the very spirit of the place. He turned his attention to Edward, who was still standing stiffly behind the desk. "Edward," Nathaniel said, his voice smooth but firm, "I trust you'll join me in making this hotel a place where all people can feel welcome, regardless of their background or status." Edward nodded, though his expression was tight, unsure of how to respond. The old ways of running the hotel had been deeply ingrained in him, and Nathaniel knew it would take time to break down those barriers. But he was ready to do the work. As Nathaniel walked further into the lobby, he could feel the weight of the stares from the staff, but he remained confident. His next steps would show them exactly what kind of owner he was going to be. The transformation he had in mind for the hotel wouldn't just be physical, it would be cultural. He wasn't here to keep the status quo. He was here to make a point that success and power weren't defined by who had held the keys to the hotel before, but by who was willing to change the rules. The elevator doors opened and Nathaniel stepped inside. He took a moment to collect his thoughts as he moved up to the upper floors. His mind raced with ideas for the future, plans that were already forming. Renovations would be the first step, but it was the internal changes, the way the staff interacted with guests, the way the hotel's reputation was framed, that would set the tone for everything else. Nathaniel knew he was going to face resistance. There would be people who didn't understand, who thought his vision was too radical, but he had never let anything or anyone stop him before. When the elevator reached the top floor, Nathaniel stepped out and walked through the long corridor toward the executive suite. This was where his most important decisions would be made. But more than that, this was where the future of the Regency Grand would take shape. A future that would reflect the values Nathaniel held dear. A future where everyone, regardless of race, status, or background, could find a place to belong. And Nathaniel was determined to make sure that vision became a reality. Over the next few weeks, Nathaniel dove headfirst into the overhaul of the Regency Grand ***. The changes were visible immediately. Renovations to the lobby, fresh new decor, and upgrades to the rooms. But Nathaniel knew that the real work was happening beneath the surface. His vision for the hotel was more than just physical, it was a cultural reset. He needed to ensure that the Regency Grand wasn't simply an upscale destination for the city's elite. It needed to be a place where everyone could feel valued, seen, and respected. He started by holding staff meetings with every department: housekeeping, front desk, concierge, kitchen, and maintenance. In each session, he spoke candidly, openly sharing his vision for the future of the hotel. His message was clear. The Regency Grand would no longer cater solely to the elite. It would be a space where diversity was celebrated, where people from all walks of life could experience the luxury and service that the hotel offered. "We're not just changing the physical space," Nathaniel said during one of the meetings. "We're changing the way we think, the way we interact with our guests. Hospitality isn't just about providing a room and a bed. It's about making people feel welcome, no matter who they are." At first, the response was mixed. Some employees were excited about the new direction, but others were skeptical. They had been accustomed to the old ways of doing things, where wealth and exclusivity had been the guiding principles. Nathaniel understood the resistance. He had seen it many times before, but he also knew that change couldn't happen without disruption, and he was more than prepared for the challenge. Edward Williams, the hotel manager, was one of those who had been unsure of Nathaniel's vision. He had grown up in the hotel industry and believed in the unspoken rules that came with managing an establishment like the Regency Grand ***. The hotel had always catered to high-profile clientele, and Edward was worried that this new direction might alienate their traditional guests. But Nathaniel wasn't asking for change just for the sake of it. He was building a new legacy, and Edward would have to either adapt or risk being left behind. One evening, Nathaniel called Edward into his office for a private meeting. The two men sat across from each other, the tension between them palpable. "Edward," Nathaniel began, his voice measured but firm, "I understand this change is a lot to take in, but I need you to understand that this is bigger than just a shift in policy. It's about ensuring that the Regency Grand stands for something more than just privilege and old money. It's about opening doors for those who have been kept out for too long." Edward shifted in his seat, clearly uncomfortable with the conversation. "I just worry that we're alienating our core clientele," he said, his voice low. "This hotel has always been a symbol of exclusivity of the highest class. If we shift too far in the other direction, we could lose everything that makes the Regency Grand special." Nathaniel leaned forward, his expression unwavering. "Edward, exclusivity isn't about shutting people out. It's about offering a space where everyone feels welcome. When we make everyone feel like they belong, that's when the real luxury begins. I want this hotel to be a beacon for progress, a place where we redefine what luxury means." Edward was silent for a moment, weighing Nathaniel's words. Slowly, he nodded. "I see what you mean. I'll work with you to make this happen." It was a small victory, but it was significant. Nathaniel knew that not everyone would come around immediately, but as long as he had a core team that understood his vision, he was prepared to keep pushing forward. Meanwhile, Nathaniel turned his attention to more than just the staff. He began to reach out to the city's most influential figures, organizing community events and partnerships that would reflect the hotel's new values. The Regency Grand would no longer be a symbol of old power. It would become a force for good in the community, a place where people could connect, build, and elevate each other. The buzz around the Regency Grand began to grow. Word spread quickly that the hotel was undergoing a dramatic transformation. one that promised to disrupt the status quo and offer a new kind of luxury. Nathaniel's vision was starting to take shape, and though there were still hurdles ahead, he felt a growing sense of confidence. This wasn't just a business move, it was a revolution in the making. As the weeks turned into months, Nathaniel's vision for the Regency Grand began to take root. The changes were not just physical, though the hotel had undergone a complete renovation with sleek new designs that emphasized openness, warmth, and luxury, but cultural as well. Staff members who had been uncertain or resistant at first started to embrace Nathaniel's message. They understood that this transformation wasn't just about making money, it was about changing the narrative, redefining what success looked like in places where wealth and privilege had long been seen as the sole measures of value. The hotel's new identity began to attract attention. People who had never set foot in the Regency Grand before now saw it as a welcoming space, one that celebrated diversity and inclusivity. Guests from different backgrounds and walks of life started arriving in droves, eager to experience the new era of hospitality Nathaniel had envisioned. And the word of mouth spread, slowly but surely shifting the hotel's image from an exclusive enclave for the elite to a high-end, yet welcoming, destination for all. But change didn't come without its challenges. Not everyone was pleased with the direction Nathaniel was taking. Some of the old regulars, the ones who had been coming to the Regency Grand for years, complained about the changes. They grumbled about the new inclusivity initiatives, the focus on diversity in marketing, and the hotel's new attitude toward accessibility. They argued that it was diluting the hotel's reputation for catering only to the highest echelon of society. Some even stopped booking rooms, choosing instead to stay at other luxury hotels around the city. Nathaniel expected this pushback. He knew that challenging the status quo would make some people uncomfortable, but he was undeterred. He had a bigger vision, one that transcended the narrow thinking of those who clung to outdated beliefs about class and status. One afternoon, as Nathaniel walked through the hotel's grand lobby, he was approached by a familiar face, one that had become a fixture of the hotel since its reopening. Melissa, the head of guest services. She had been one of the first to buy into Nathaniel's vision, and she had worked tirelessly to implement the changes he had proposed. Melissa had always been passionate about hospitality and believed deeply in the idea of creating a space where everyone could feel welcome, no matter their background. "I think we're making a real difference here," Melissa said, her voice filled with excitement. "The feedback from guests has been overwhelmingly positive. More people are coming in for special events, and we're starting to see a significant increase in bookings from all demographics. I think this place is really becoming what you've always envisioned." Nathaniel smiled. He was proud of the progress, but he also knew that this was just the beginning. The hotel's success was proof that there was a market for inclusivity, but it wasn't just about the numbers. It was about something deeper, a societal shift toward accepting that luxury could and should be for everyone. "That's great to hear, Melissa," Nathaniel said. "But we're not finished yet. I want to make sure we're continuing to evolve, continuing to push boundaries. We need to keep focusing on creating experiences that resonate with all kinds of people, not just the ones with the deepest pockets. The world is changing and the Regency Grand should reflect that change." As Nathaniel walked away, he thought about how far the hotel had come since he had first walked through its doors, rejected because of the color of his skin. He had turned that rejection into something powerful, something transformative. Now he was seeing the fruits of his labor, guests of all kinds walking through the hotel's doors, enjoying the luxury of a space that didn't judge them for who they were, but welcomed them for what they could bring. Despite the challenges, Nathaniel knew there was no turning back. The Regency Grand was becoming more than just a hotel. It was becoming a symbol of what was possible when barriers were broken down and true inclusivity was put into practice. The journey had only just begun, but Nathaniel was certain of one thing. He was on the right path. Months passed, and Nathaniel's vision for The Regency Grand Asterisk Asterisk continued to evolve. The hotel had transformed from a symbol of exclusivity and privilege into a beacon of inclusivity and diversity. Nathaniel had faced every challenge with the same determination that had carried him through his entire career. But as the hotel became more successful, the stakes grew higher, and the pressure to maintain the momentum was unrelenting. One evening, as Nathaniel sat in the hotel's new executive lounge, a place that had been designed to serve as a hub for conversations about innovation and progress, he received an unexpected visitor. It was a familiar face, Edward Williams, the former manager who had been skeptical of the changes at first. His once stern demeanor had softened over the past few months, and Nathaniel had noticed a change in him. Edward had gradually come to see the vision that Nathaniel had set in motion, even if it had taken some time. But tonight, his expression was different. He looked troubled. "Mr. Davis," Edward began, his voice cautious but respectful. "I've been thinking about what you've done with this hotel, and I have to admit, I didn't fully understand it at first. But now, seeing how successful these changes have been, I can say that you've truly built something special here. I'm proud of the work we've done together." Nathaniel nodded, grateful for Edward's words. It wasn't always easy to win over people who had been so entrenched in the old ways, but Edward's growth mirrored the broader transformation of the hotel itself. "But," Nathaniel asked, sensing that there was more to the conversation. Edward hesitated for a moment before speaking. "But I've also been hearing whispers. Some of our regular guests are upset. They're not happy with the new direction. They feel like asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk is losing its prestige, that it's no longer the exclusive, high-class establishment it once was. I've tried to reassure them, but it's not easy." Nathaniel leaned back in his chair, absorbing Edward's words. He had expected this. Change was always met with resistance, especially when it challenged long-held notions of class and status. But Nathaniel wasn't willing to compromise on his principles. He'd come too far to let a few complaints derail everything he had worked for. "I understand the concerns," Nathaniel said calmly, his gaze steady. "But this isn't about preserving the old image of the hotel. It's about creating something that stands for more than just luxury. It's about redefining what luxury means in today's world. It's about making sure that asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk, isn't just a hotel for the privileged few, but a place where everyone can feel valued, respected, and welcomed. We've worked hard to build that culture here, Edward, and I'm not going to let it go." Edward nodded, his face reflecting the internal struggle he had been facing. "I see your point, but these regular guests, they're the ones who've kept us in business for years. If they start pulling back, it could hurt our reputation." Nathaniel paused, taking a deep breath. "Reputation isn't built on appeasing a select group of people. It's built on the foundation of trust, integrity, and doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing by opening this space to everyone. And the truth is, those who truly appreciate what we're doing will see the value in it. They'll come back, and they'll bring others with them. This hotel isn't just about providing luxury. It's about providing dignity. And that, Edward, is worth more than anything else." For a long moment, Edward didn't speak. He seemed lost in thought, weighing Nathaniel's words. Finally, he nodded slowly. "You're right, Mr. Davis. I understand now. We're not just running a hotel. We're creating a legacy. And I'm with you." Nathaniel smiled, feeling a sense of pride not just in the hotel, but in the progress he had made with those around him. He had faced rejection, pushback, and doubts, but he had never wavered from his vision. Now, asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk was a symbol of what was possible when barriers were broken, when people chose to do what was right instead of what was easy. As he walked through the hotel's grand lobby once again, now filled with guests from every background, Nathaniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had done more than change the face of a hotel. He had changed the course of history for the people who passed through its doors. The story of asterisk asterisk, the Regency Grand asterisk asterisk, was not just about a billionaire's success. It was a story of transformation, of turning rejection into opportunity, and of proving that true luxury, true success was for everyone. Nathaniel knew that this was only the beginning of something even greater, a movement that would leave an indelible mark on the world, one where hospitality wasn't about exclusivity, but about embracing the shared humanity that bound them all together.